Chapter 24:18. Hug Me. The cries of the 6 servants naturally attracted the attention of many people. However, because their rashes were contagious, many people only watched from afar and did not dare to approach Xiaohua Garden. In fact, yesterday, when Min Shi and Yi Bingyu wanted to visit Yun Chujio, she was rejected by Yun Chujio. She sent a voice transmission talisman to Yi Bingyu. It only had 2 words, "Don't read it." Yi Bingyu couldn't make heads or tails of it, so she looked for Min Shi to discuss it. Min Shi smiled and said, "Looks like little Jio is up to something again. She has a lot of ideas. Let's listen to her and not cause trouble for her." Yi Bingyu thought of Yun Chujio's perversion and felt that her mother's words made sense. How could a person who could even handle the city lord of Tianluo City not be able to handle a small rash? Lu Shi had already sent people to keep an eye on Xiaohua Garden. As soon as she heard the wailing inside, she immediately reported it to Lu Shi. Lu Shi's heart was filled with joy. She went to the guest house and told Yi Xinwan and her daughter about the matter. Yi Xinwan said proudly, "It seems that the people inside have already been disfigured. Let's see how that little bitch will show off in the future." Lu Shi echoed, "That's right. Her appearance has been disfigured. Even the old master won't value her anymore. Let's find a chance to kill her in the future. However, I still have to put on an act now. I'll go over and then ask Dr. Deng to treat them. Xinwan, he won't find anything out, right? Don't worry. It wasn't easy for me to get that medicinal powder. He's just a chief physician, so he won't be able to find anything out. He'll only say that they were caused by touching other poisonous herbs." Yi Xinwan said with some confidence. She had used this poisonous powder many times in the Fan family, and no one had ever found out about it. Hearing Yi Xinwan's words, Lu Shi nodded and left the guest house to the outside of Xiaohua Garden. "Little Jio, what happened?" Lu Shi was afraid of being infected, so she stood at the gate of the courtyard and shouted, "Woo woo, aunt, our faces are all festered. Woo woo, we're all disfigured. I don't want to live anymore. Please come in and see me." Yun Chujio's crying came from the courtyard. The 6 servants in Xiaohua Garden looked at certain Jio with a confused expression. A certain Jio was the one who was talking about this little ancestor, right? "Little Jio, don't get carried away. I'll send someone to get Dr. Deng right away. Something must have gone wrong. Besides, if you're disfigured, you'll be able to recover with the flawless muscle regeneration pill. Don't be too sad." Lu Shi wasn't willing to go in and check. It would be terrible if she was infected. "Woo woo, aunt, I'm so scared. Please come in and see me. I really want to throw myself into your arms and cry. Otherwise, I'll go out." Lu Shi was so scared that her face turned white. She shouted while running, "I'll go and find the doctor for you now. Don't come out, please don't come out. Aunt, don't go. Come and hug me." Yun Chujio stood at the entrance of Xiaohua Garden and whined. Lu Shi didn't even dare to turn her head back. That little bastard might not have any good intentions at all. It would be terrible if her face was disfigured by her infection. Yun Chujio sighed. She said to the servants who were watching the scene from afar, "Sigh. Why don't you guys come over and talk to us? Although we are disfigured, aren't we all wearing veils on our faces? You won't be scared. Come here quickly." The servants ran away one by one. Even the spies of Lu Shi ran away, afraid that if they were one step slower, they would be caught by Yun Chujio and thrown into Xiaohua Garden. Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips and returned to the courtyard. She said to the 6 servants, "See? Tell me, who else would suspect that we are not disfigured?" Chapter 24:19. Salt-free powder. The 6 servants were shaking their heads like rattledrums. After the little devil's torment, it was estimated that no one would come within a mile of Xiaohua Garden. "Miss Cousin, then what if Dr. Deng comes?" an old woman asked in a hoarse voice. Yes, she was howling too hard just now, so her voice was naturally hoarse. Yun Chujio looked at her as if she was looking at an idiot. "Dr. Deng has already helped us once, so naturally he will help us a second time. That old man has already boarded our pirate ship. Can he still jump off the ship and commit suicide?" Almost at the same time, a thought flashed through the minds of the 6 servants. This little devil was too wicked. Dr. Deng was really unlucky. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and gave a few more instructions to the 6 servants. The 6 servants looked like they had nothing left to live for and nodded their heads in frustration. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Dr. Deng had arrived. Yun Chujio asked an old woman to open the door and let Dr. Deng into the courtyard. Yun Chujio coughed and immediately, the 6 servants started crying again. "Old miracle doctor, save us. Old miracle doctor, my face is ruined. I won't be able to face anyone in the future. Old miracle doctor, will my face never be cured again?" The servants who were watching from afar heard the crying in Xiaohua Garden, and they confirmed that these people were really disfigured, and it was very serious. Dr. Deng was so shocked by the earth-shattering crying that he almost sat on the ground. He steadied his mind and said, "Remove the veil and let me take a look." Yun Chujio opened the isolation array and sighed, "Old miracle doctor, before you look at our faces, please take a look at this." Yun Chujio said as she asked the servant to bring out the medicinal soup bowl that was soaked with the wind-blade rabbit's corpse. Dr. Deng was shocked. "Miss Yun, what does this mean?" "Old miracle doctor, this is the medicinal soup that you gave us. I think you should stop being a doctor in the future and change your profession to selling cooked food. With this exclusive secret recipe, shedding hair is simply too easy, isn't it?" Dr. Deng was so angry that his beard stood up. "Nonsense! How can the prescription that I gave you have corrosive effects? This is impossible. Old miracle doctor, if you don't believe me, I still have a few pots here. You can try putting your hand in." Yun Chujio said as she took out the remaining few pots of medicinal soup. Dr. Deng was so angry that his liver was trembling. Unless he was crazy, he would only put his hand in. Dr. Deng took out a special glove from his storage ring. After putting it on, he used a spoon to scoop out a spoonful of medicinal soup and smelled it. Dr. Deng looked puzzled. There was nothing wrong with the smell of the medicinal soup. He frowned and thought for a long time. Suddenly, he took out a herb with purple flowers from his storage ring. Dr. Deng threw the herb into the pot. Everyone was surprised to find that the small purple flowers on the herb had turned blue. Moreover, it was a cold blue color. Dr. Deng was shocked and angry. Someone added salt-free powder into it. Who is so vicious? Salt-free powder? Then, if you are disfigured by this medicinal soup, is there any hope for you to recover? Yun Chujio asked from the side. Dr. Deng shook his head. Salt-free powder is a forbidden medicine of a mysterious family in the far west region. This old man also happened to have an opportunity to save a member of their family. He once told me about this kind of salt-free powder. Salt-free powder is colorless and tasteless. Only this kind of purple blood forsythia can be tested. That person once told me that there is no antidote for salt-free powder. Moreover, the medicinal properties are very strong. Just a little bit of it can destroy a person's face. Chapter 24:20 What if the salt-free powder had an antidote? When the 6 servants heard Dr. Deng's words, they felt even more grateful towards Yun Chujio. At first, they thought that Yun Chujio was just scaring them. They thought that even if they were disfigured, they would be able to recover their looks with the muscle revitalization pill. They did not expect that the salt-free powder really did not have an antidote. Yun Chujio was very clear about their thoughts. She could not be bothered with them and said to Dr. Deng, "Old miracle doctor, there is no doubt that the salt-free powder was put in there by our Yi residents. The purpose was to disfigure me. Fortunately, I have always been careful in my actions, so I did not fall for their tricks. However, there are only 1,000 days of being a thief and not 1,000 days of being on guard against thieves. I was afraid that they would come up with a poison plan if their plan failed, so I simply played along and said that we were disfigured." Dr. Deng had already guessed a thing or two when he saw the wind-blade rabbit's corpse, so he was not too surprised when he heard Yun Chujio say this. Dr. Deng sighed. "But I'm afraid this matter can't be kept secret for long. Miss Yun, why don't you go and talk to Old Master Yi? Old Master Yi is a sensible person, so he will naturally protect you." Yun Chujio sneered with slight mockery. "Old miracle doctor, You also know that my aunt's husband's family is a super aristocratic family, the Fan family. Do you think my great-grandfather will fall out with her because of me? In this Yi family, I can only rely on myself. I can't rely on anyone. Dr. Deng was stunned at first, then he sighed. In a large family, the most important thing was the interests of the family. Family ties were really thin. What this little girl said made sense. I'm afraid that old Master Yi wouldn't be able to protect her. Sigh. Miss Yun, then how do you want me to help you? Even though this old man sympathizes with all of you, if people were to find out that this old man had collaborated with you to cheat, I'm afraid that not only would this old man's medicine shop be unable to protect itself, this old man's life would also be in danger. Dr. Deng said in a troubled manner. The last time he helped Yun Chujio and the others to hide it, it was because it was a piece of cake. He was not afraid that others would find something wrong with it. However, it was different this time. Yun Chujio and the others had already told the public that they were disfigured, but in the end, their looks were still intact. If the person behind the scenes were to vent his anger, he would definitely not be spared. Old Miracle Doctor, actually, this matter is not difficult to handle. Everything that you said happened on the basis that there was no antidote to the salt-free powder. If you had the antidote to the salt-free powder, wouldn't this matter be solved easily? Yun Chujio said with a smile. Dr. Deng almost choked with anger. Aren't you talking nonsense? If there was an antidote to the salt-free powder, would he be so bored that he would worry about nothing? Dr. Deng said angrily, Miss Yun, the salt-free powder doesn't have an antidote. Even the mysterious family doesn't have an antidote. How can we get an antidote? Isn't this nonsense? Everything in the world is mutually reinforcing and counteracting each other. Nothing has no natural enemies. It's the same for humans and everything else. Moreover, although the salt-free powder is vicious, it takes several hours to take effect. This means that its main medicine should be a kind of poisonous grass. I think that since the violet blood forsythia you just took out can be tested to be salt-free, it might be the nemesis of the salt-free powder. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said. Dr. Deng said with a wry smile, Miss Yun, although what you said makes some sense, but if the violet blood forsythia is the antidote, that mysterious family wouldn't have found it after so many years? So, it's impossible. Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows. Old Miracle Doctor, there's a saying that those who are in the middle of the matter can see clearly. They might really be riding a donkey to look for a donkey. If you don't try, how do you know that it won't work? Besides, we won't be exposed for 8 to 10 days anyway. You can go back and study it. If it doesn't work, you can report us again. Chapter 24-21 The helpless old Master Yi. Dr. Deng thought for a moment and agreed to Yun Chujio's suggestion. He really had no way to go against his conscience and report them. He had no choice but to go back and study them first. Yun Chujio whispered a few more words to Dr. Deng. Dr. Deng was stunned and nodded. Before leaving, Yun Chujio gave Dr. Deng a simple wooden box as usual. Dr. Deng casually put it into his storage ring. He did not have the time to open the wooden box from last time. Dr. Deng walked out of Xiaohua Garden. After walking for a while, he saw Lu Shi waiting with her maid. Dr. Deng, can little Jio's looks recover? Lu Shi asked from afar. I'm not sure. It seems that other than the juice of the willow leaf ant grass, they were also contaminated with other poisonous plants. They'll go back and study it carefully. They'll come back for a consultation in 2 days. During this period, just let them continue to use the medicinal soup from before. At least it can alleviate the pain, Dr. Deng said according to what Yun Chujio had taught him. Lu Shi was delighted. As expected, what she said to Yi Xinwan was right. Dr. Deng could not find anything at all. He just said that there were poisonous herbs and so on. That little bastard was completely finished. Lu Shi paid the fee and was about to send a servant to send Dr. Deng out of the Yi residence when housekeeper Fu walked over. Housekeeper Fu first bowed to Lu Shi, then said, Eldest madam, the old master wants to see Dr. Deng and ask about Miss Cousin's condition. Lu Shi naturally could not stop him, but she felt that there was no flaw. Moreover, even if they really found something, the old Master Yi would not dare to fall out with Yi Xinwan. Housekeeper Fu brought Dr. Deng to Old Master Ye's study. After Old Master Yi let Dr. Deng sit down, he said, "How is little Jio's condition? Can her appearance recover?" "Old Master Yi, this old man does not dare to hide it from you. Miss Yun was poisoned by the salt-free powder this time. There is no antidote to the salt-free powder. Although this old man has a slight idea of how to detoxify it, the hope is not high. Don't worry, I will keep this matter a secret. I only said to the eldest madam that Miss Yun might have touched some poisonous grass by mistake." Dr. Deng's words were naturally told to him by Yun Chujio. Dr. Deng sighed in his heart. That little girl was really smart. She even guessed that Old Master Yi would ask him questions. After Old Master Yi heard that Yun Chujio was disfigured, he guessed a little. His heart was very complicated. On one hand, he felt that he had let down his great-granddaughter, who he had just recognized. On the other hand, he resented Yi Xinwen's ruthlessness. However, he was also afraid of the Fan family's influence. He did not dare to speak openly with Yi Xinwan and openly fall out with her. "Since you know your limits, I won't say anything more. If you can cure little Jio, this old man will definitely not mistreat you. You may leave." Old Master Yi waved his hand at Dr. Deng. After Dr. Deng left, Old Master Yi slumped into his chair dejectedly. He felt a little guilty about what happened to Yi Lan back then. He did not expect that even though Lan's daughter was disfigured by XN1, he was powerless to do anything about it. As the head of the Yi family, he was truly an extremely cowardly person. Fortunately, he had already sent Yuan Liang out. Otherwise, if he were to find out, he would definitely cause another huge ruckus. Although the Yi family looked like a blossoming flower on the outside, in reality, they could not withstand a single blow. They could no longer endure any more torment. "Little ninth girl, I only hope that you can survive this calamity." Old Master Yi did not know that a certain Jio who had already been disfigured was extremely at ease at this moment. This fellow had set up a hammock in the Spirit Peach Forest. Lying on it, he was reading a script and eating fruits. He was extremely at ease. Chapter 24-22 The little angel had arrived. Yun Chujio was not worried at all that someone would come over to find out what was going on. Those people were extremely afraid of death. Unless their balls were hurting, they would only come over to look for trouble. As for the antidote for the salt-free powder, this fellow naturally knew about it because this fellow had Guai Chao, this little expert in detoxification. When she saw the few pots of poison soup yesterday, the Guai Chao in her dantian was almost overjoyed. That was why Yun Chujio was able to determine that someone had tampered with the medicinal soup. Yun Chujio finally managed to suppress the strange grass that was clamoring. She took out the 100 herbs mirror and observed the reaction of the strange grass to guess the ingredients of the antidote for Guai Chao. The stalk of purple blood forsythia that Dr. Deng took out was indeed the main ingredient of the antidote, but it had no effect if used directly. It could only be used as the antidote after it was roasted. In addition, there were a few other spiritual herbs that needed to be added to become the antidote for Guai Chao. Yun Chujio placed the few spirit herbs into the wooden box and handed them over to Dr. Deng. It would depend on his luck. However, with her unintentional advice, she believed that as long as Dr. Deng was not too stupid, he would definitely come up with an antidote. TSK, this could also be considered a big gift to him. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, she heard a buzzing sound. She looked up and saw more than 10 silver ring spirit bees gathering honey on the spirit peach blossom. The poison of these spirit bees was not strong, and they usually would not take the initiative to attack people, so most people would not pay too much attention to them. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. She had originally planned to seek revenge on the Yi mother and daughter after some time, but she did not expect the little angel-like helper to arrive. It was really wonderful. Yun Chujio suddenly jumped up from the hammock and reached out to grab a silver-ringed spirit bee. The silver-ringed spirit bee was about to pierce through Yun Chujio's right hand, but it was frightened by the pressure of the small flame. It lowered its head and didn't dare to struggle anymore. Yun Chujio was stunned. She didn't expect the small flame to become more powerful. It seemed that the fire marrow from the divine axe and heavenly pit was not wasted. Yun Chujio easily established a temporary contract with the Silver Ring Spirit Bee, and she also established a temporary contract with the other 10 or so bees. Yun Chujio revealed a sinister smile. It was the most interesting way to give someone a taste of their own medicine. Didn't the Yi mother and daughter like to ruin other people's looks? Then let them have a taste of being disfigured. After Dr. Deng and housekeeper Fu left, Lu Shi turned around and went to the guest house. Xinwan, things are pretty much as you guessed. Dr. Deng guessed that the little bastard was poisoned by some poisonous herb. However, housekeeper Fu called Dr. Deng away just now and said that the old master wanted to see him. Is there anything wrong? Yi Xinwan snorted indifferently. Let alone that quack doctor, it's impossible for him to know about my medicinal powder. Even if he really knew, the little bastard's appearance has already been ruined. What can grandfather really do to me? Sister-in-law, in grandfather's eyes, the most important thing is not which junior, but the Yi family. Otherwise, that bitch Yilan was so doted on back then. In the end, wasn't she still removed from the list? Lu Shi nodded. Xinwan, you're the one who saw it clearly. That little bitch's appearance has already been ruined. She won't be able to stir up any more waves in the future. Back then, Yilan overestimated herself and went against you, sister. In the end, not only did she lose her little life early, but now her daughter has also been disfigured. It's really karma. All of this was brought on by that bitch Yilan. She, a daughter of a concubine, still wants to suppress me in every way. She's really courting death. Sister-in-law, in the future, find an opportunity to let that bitch sow her seed and reunite with that bitch Yilan. Yi Xinwan said coldly. Chapter 24-23 was also very helpless. Chu. A certain Jiao, who was drawing with a brush, sneezed twice. Damn it, it's probably Lu Shi and the others scolding me again. If it wasn't for the fear of causing too much trouble, I really wanted to take care of Lu Shi and Gu Shi as well. Although Yun Chujio had only seen the Yi mother and daughter once, her drawing was very lifelike. The dozen silver ring spirit bees stopped on Yun Chujio's body and looked at the portrait curiously. They were actually very helpless about being rejected by the contract, because they couldn't defeat this pervert in front of them. After Yun Chujio finished drawing, she said to the spirit bees, "Do you see them? These two people are your targets. Go and scout around first, confirm the courtyard they live in, and then come back to find me." The spirit bees heard Yun Chujio's instructions and flew away obediently. Yun Chujio took out a pot of medicinal soup with salt-free powder from her storage ring and started to drink it. Fortunately, the servants were all sent away by Yun Chujio. Otherwise, they would have been scared to death when they saw this scene. Yun Chujio felt that it was no wonder that others said she was a pervert. It seemed that she was quite a pervert. If it were an ordinary person after drinking such a big bowl of medicinal soup, not to mention that it was highly poisonous, even if they were stuffed to death, they would still be stuffed to death. After Yun Chujio finished drinking the medicinal soup, she held a small porcelain bowl in her hand and said to the Guai Chao in her dantian, "Spit out a small part of the salt-free powder for me. I have use for it. In the future, when I have the opportunity, I will get the formula and let you drink to your heart's content." The Guai Chao in her dantian reluctantly squeezed out a few drops of liquid. Yun Chujio took a sniff and found that there was no smell. It seemed that it was the salt-free powder. After Yun Chujio diluted the few drops of liquid, she carefully got more than 10 leaves. The leaves that Yun Chujio chose were the iron core camphor tree that was commonly planted in the Yi family's courtyard. This tree was very resistant to drought, so its leaves were relatively small and in the shape of a drum, which was convenient for collecting rainwater. Yun Chujio just happened to put the salt-free water into the drum. As soon as Yun Chujio was done, the dozen silver ring spirit bees flew back. You guys think of a way to get the medicinal juice on the leaves into their clothes or the water used to wash their faces. You can also put it in their food. After you succeed, I have some honey from the red-eyed poisonous tail bees. I'll give you some when the time comes. Oh right, the medicinal juice on the leaves has a corrosive effect. Be careful not to get it on yourself. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, She handed the soaked leaves to the spirit bees. Since the leaves were not stained with the medicinal juice, they would not have any effect on themselves if they held onto the leaves. More than 10 spirit bees held onto the leaves carefully and flew towards the courtyard where the Yi mother and daughter lived. These spirit bees were quite intelligent. They did not act rashly. Instead, they stopped on a tree in the corner of the guest house, looking for a suitable time to poison. At this moment, Yi Bingying walked in from outside the courtyard. She wanted to marry Fan Mingxuan, so she planned to curry favor with the Yi family mother and daughter. Therefore, she came to the guest house very frequently at this stage. Fan Sushue did not know anyone in the Yi family, so she did not respond in a cold or warm manner. After entering the house, Yi Bingying greeted Yi Xinwan and said to Fan Sushue, "Sushue, there are many flowers in the back garden. There's nothing to do around here. Let me accompany you for a walk." Fan Sushue was indeed a little bored staying in the courtyard. She nodded and left the house with Yi Bingying. As soon as they entered the courtyard, more than 10 silver ring spirit bees flew down from the trees and circled around Fan Sush's head a few times before flying away. As the incident happened suddenly and the silver ring spirit bees were extremely fast, by the time everyone reacted, the silver ring spirit bees had already disappeared. Chapter 24 was affected. What's going on? Why are there spirit bees in this courtyard? Although Fan Sushue wasn't stung by the spirit bees, there were a few drops of water on her face and a few spots on her clothes. Yi Bingying, who was beside her, was also affected and a few drops of water splashed on her face. Yi Bingying smiled indifferently. These spirit bees probably flew over from the back garden. I saw that their claws seemed to be holding onto leaves. It's probably the dew on the leaves. It's fine. Fan Sushue did not smell anything else. She also felt that it should be fog, so she complained a few times and used her hand to wipe off the water droplets on her face. Then, she followed Yi Bingying to the back garden to admire the flowers. Yun Chujio was very satisfied when she saw the spirit bees returning from the triumphant return. After washing the remaining poison on the leaves with water, she directly destroyed the leaves and destroyed the traces. Yun Chujio kept her promise and gave some honey to the spirit bees. One by one, the spirit bees flew away in high spirits. Yun Chujio couldn't help but sigh. It was still easier to satisfy the spirit beasts. She just gave them some honey and sent them away. That night, Fan Sushue felt pain and itchiness on her face and hands. It became more and more serious and even began to fester. Fan Sushue cried out in fear. "Sushue, Sushue, what's wrong?" Yi Xinwan heard Fan Sush's cry and quickly ran over. Fan Sushue pointed at her hands and face in fear. "Mother, how can my hands and face be like this?" Yi Xinwan saw Fan Sush's condition and almost collapsed to the ground. She saw that several places on Fan Sush's fair face had begun to fester, and there were also several places on her hands that festered. Yi Xinwan roared at those servants, "Are you all dead? Hurry up and find the doctor. Sushue, don't run. When the doctor comes, he will definitely be able to cure you. When the time comes, you just need to apply some flawless muscle pills." Hearing Yi Xinwan's words, Fan Sushue calmed down a little. Yi Xinwan asked again, "Sushue, how did you do this? Logically speaking, no one in the Yi family would poison you. Could it be that you encountered some poisonous grass in the back garden today?" Fan Sushue thought about it carefully. "Mother, I didn't encounter any poisonous grass in the back garden. Could it be that a servant poisoned me?" When Yi Xinwan heard Fan Sush's words, she immediately tied up all the servants serving in the guest house, leaving only her confidant. "Beat them until they tell the truth. They have really rebelled against the heavens and actually dared to harm Sushue. They are courting death." Those servants naturally begged bitterly, saying that they had not poisoned Yun at all. Yi Xinwan would not listen to their explanations and had her confidants begin to torture her to extract a confession. Instantly, the guest house was filled with screams. In the dead of the night, the screams spread far and wide. Gu Shi and the others were alarmed. Lu Shi was the first to rush over. Yi Bingying was already asleep. When she heard the commotion, she also rushed over. On the way to the guest house, She felt an itch on her face and hands. She used her hands to scratch them a few times, but the pain was unbearable. It was not easy for her to reach the guest house. When she reached the guest house, Yi Bingying saw Fan Sukshu's miserable state. She immediately had an ominous premonition, and the pain on her face and hands became unbearable. She could not help but scream. Yi Xinwan was already very upset. When she heard Yi Bingying scream, she could not help but reprimand, "What are you shouting for? If you don't want to stay, get out." Although Lu Shi was displeased, she did not dare to say anything. She turned her head and was about to tell Yi Bingying to be quiet when she saw Yi Bingying's face and immediately screamed. Chapter 24-25. Could it be that there was no salt powder? Bingyu, your face, how did your face get destroyed? Lu Shi's voice was trembling. Yi Bingying looked down at her hand. It was already beginning to fester, just like Fan Sushue. When she looked in the mirror again, 2 spots of fester appeared on her pretty face. With a scream, she fainted. The guest house was once again thrown into chaos. Yi Xinwan had originally thought that it was the servants of the guest house who had caused Fan Sukshu's death. Now that she saw that Yi Bingying's face was also disfigured, it seemed that it was not the servants of the guest house who had poisoned her. Then what was going on? Lu Shi was more meticulous than Yi Xinwan. After comforting Yi Bingying, she asked, "Did you and Sushue touch any unknown spiritual herbs in the back garden? Or did you encounter anything unusual?" Yi Bingying and Fan Sushue shook their heads repeatedly. They only sat in the pavilion in the back garden and didn't do anything else. At this moment, a maid on the ground said in a trembling voice, "First, madam, when the 2 young ladies were in the guest house's courtyard, a group of spiritual bees once made some water droplets on their faces and bodies. Could it be the problem of those water droplets?" When Fan Sushue heard what she said, she immediately said in a flustered and exasperated manner, "There is indeed such a thing. Yi Bingying, it's all your fault. If you didn't have to call me to the back garden, would I have suffered such a calamity? At that time, I still had to go back to the house to wash my face. You were the one who stopped me. Why are you so calm?" Although Yi Bingying wanted to curry favor with the Yi mother and daughter, her heart was in a mess now. She immediately retorted, "When did you say that you wanted to go back to the house to wash your face? Didn't you also guess that it was fog? Moreover, it might not have been caused by those few drops of water. If you want to blame it, I'll still blame you. Perhaps it was ants, whatever medicinal powder that accidentally got into some place that caused us to suffer." After Yi Bingying finished speaking, her face instantly revealed a terrified expression. Fan Sushue was stunned at first, then she went to beat Yi Bingying like crazy. "You're talking nonsense. It's impossible. It's definitely impossible. It's just that matter of fog. It definitely won't be the salt-free powder. It definitely won't be." Yi Xinwen's head buzzed. At first, it was painful and itchy, and then it began to fester. This was indeed the exact same symptoms as the salt-free powder's attack. She raised her head to look at the fester on Fan Sukshu's face. Her legs were so weak that she couldn't even stand. Fan Sukshu's appearance was exactly the same as the wounds she had caused in the concubines. This was caused by the salt-free powder. The more Yi Xinwan thought about it, the more terrified she became. Her eyes rolled back and she fainted. Immediately, the guest house was in a mess. Some went to pull the fight, and some went to wake Yi Xinwan up. There were also more than 10 servants who were tied up on the ground. After old Master Yi received housekeeper Fuss' report, he also rushed over. Although he did not show up when Yun Chujio was in trouble, he could not come when something happened to Fan Sushue because he was afraid that the Fan family would vent their anger on the Yi family. After old Master Yi arrived, the chaotic situation in the guest house was finally alleviated. Old Master Yi was also shocked when he saw the wounds on Fan Sushue and Yi Bingying's faces. He asked the 2 of them what happened. Yi Bingying told them what happened. Of course, she was not stupid enough to say that there was no salt powder or anything. She only said that they had wandered around the back garden and it became like this. Fan Sushue insisted that it was caused by those spirit bees. She blamed Yi Bingying for causing her to become like this. At this moment, Yi Xinhuan also woke up. Although she felt that there was a high chance that Fan Sushue had been poisoned by salt-free, she still had a glimmer of hope in her heart. She hoped that after Dr. Deng examined her, he would come to another conclusion. Chapter 24-26 was indeed affected by the salt-free powder soon. Dr. Deng was invited in. Dr. Deng saw the appearance of Fan Sushue and Yi Bingying and could not help but be shocked. The windblade rabbit in the medicinal soup bowl immediately appeared in his mind. Dr. Deng suddenly had a strange thought. Could it be that these two were also affected by the salt-free powder? Dr. Deng checked their pulse and asked for their diagnosis. Finally, he said, the two young ladies seem to have been infected with some kind of poisonous grass. However, I am not knowledgeable enough to see what kind of poison they have been infected with. However, the symptoms of the two young ladies are similar to Miss Yun's symptoms. I am really unsure. Why don't you find someone else? When Fan Sushue heard Dr. Deng say that her symptoms were similar to Yun Chujia's, she immediately said ferociously, "Impossible. You quack. How could I be afflicted with salt-free powder? You must have seen wrongly." Dr. Deng was at a loss. Salt-free powder? What's salt-free powder? Yi Xinhuan was on the verge of breaking down. She could not care less about whether she would be exposed or not. She stared at Dr. Deng and asked, "Are Sushue's symptoms really the same as that little bastard's? Are you sure?" Dr. Deng sighed. This old man only said that they are similar, but am not sure that they are the same. You'd better find someone else. Don't delay the two young ladies' condition. Mother, he can't even diagnose the salt-free powder. He's just a quack. Don't listen to his nonsense. Hurry up and kill him. Get me another doctor, Fan Sushue said viciously. Yi Xinhuan was just about to speak when old Master Yi said in a low voice, "Shut up. Yi Fu, take these servants away." Housekeeper Fu knew that old Master Yi had something to say, so he untied those servants and took them away. Although Yi Xinhuan and Fan Sushue didn't take old Master Yi seriously, they were intimidated by his majesty and didn't clamor anymore. Old Master Yi snorted coldly, "Xin, little Jio's appearance was destroyed by you? It was destroyed with salt-free powder?" Yi Xinhuan said exasperatedly, "Grandfather, right now, you should be concerned about Suksha's appearance, right? Why are you talking about that bastard?" "That's right, I got someone to add salt-free powder into her medicinal soup. Could it be that you want to settle the score later?" Old Master Yi was so angry that he gritted his teeth and said, "Good, good. Xinhuan, she's just a little girl. What does it get in the way of you? You actually made such a vicious move." All right, let's not talk about this matter first. Dr. Deng, tell the truth. Did Su Shui and Bing Ying also get hit by salt-free powder? Dr. Deng said, It's best to let the two young ladies clean their hands. They'll test it out." Yi Xinhuan and Fan Sushue were stunned. Did this old thing really know about salt-free powder? After Fan Sushue and Yi Bingying washed their hands with water, Dr. Deng took out a stalk of purple blood forsythia and placed it in the pot. Everyone saw that the originally purple flower had turned dark blue. Dr. Deng sighed. This purple blood forsythia will only turn dark blue after encountering salt-free powder. It seems that the two ladies have indeed been poisoned by salt-free powder. No. You're talking nonsense. You're talking nonsense. I didn't go to Xiaohua Garden. How could I have been poisoned by the salt-free powder? Fan Sushue roared like a madwoman. Yi Bingying's eyes went blank. She understood what being poisoned by the salt-free powder meant. It meant that her appearance could never be restored. Her life was over. Yi Xinhuan stared at Dr. Deng with a ferocious expression. "Since you can find out about the salt-free powder, why did you tell sister-in-law that the little bastard was poisoned by poisonous grass? Did you poison Su Shui?" Chapter 24-27 Dogs Bite Dogs. Old Master Yi was so angry that he kicked the stool over. You shut up. Wasn't Dr. Deng trying to save face for you and the Yi family? Is he going to go around the city and make a racket that you, his aunt, poisoned his niece? Moreover, Dr. Deng had not even met Su Shui. How could he have poisoned her? Can't you grow a brain? Old Master Yi was so furious that he couldn't care less whether Yi Xinhuan was a member of the Fan family or not. Although Yi Xinhuan was very inflated now, she used to be very afraid of Old Master Yi. After being yelled at by Old Master Yi, she immediately restrained herself a little. She thought carefully. What Old Master Yi said made sense. This Dr. Deng had never seen Su Shui before. How could he have poisoned her? Besides, there was no motive or opportunity to poison her. Lu Shi was unable to interrupt. Only then did she say, "Then it seems that it's really the problem of those spirit bees." But how could those spirit bees have salt-free powder? Could it be that XN1 lost your salt-free powder? And then it was taken away by the spirit bees as pollen? Everyone felt that what Lu Shi said made sense. Perhaps the spirit bees really had treated the salt-free powder as pollen and stained their claws. Then, after being soaked in dew, they smeared it on Fan Sushui and Yi Bingying's faces. Yi Xinhuan used her spiritual sense to check the storage ring. She did not lose it. She was suddenly shocked. She stared at Lu Shi viciously. "Sister-in-law, back then, I gave you a bag of salt-free powder. Could it be that you lost the rest of the salt-free powder? Then the spirit bees treated it as pollen?" Lu Shi could not care less about the fact that the matter had been exposed. She hurriedly denied, "Back then, I gave the entire bag of medicinal powder to Kai Dai. She told me that she had already gotten someone to put it into the medicinal soup. There was not a single bit left." "Then what about the paper that was wrapped with the medicinal powder?" Yi Xinhuan pressed. "This, I didn't ask about this in detail. Kai Dai is outside. Let her come in and ask." Lu Shi's heart was beating fast. Could it be that the paper wrapped with the medicinal powder wasn't properly handled and the spiritual bee had been used as pollen? If that was the case, not only would she harm her own daughter, the Fan family would probably not spare her. Yi Zhihui might even divorce her. The more Lu Shi thought about it, the more frightened she became. Her body could not help but tremble. Not long after, Kai Dai was brought in. Lu Shi gritted her teeth and asked, "Kai Dai, let me ask you. Did you ask someone to put all the medicinal powder I gave you into the medicinal soup? Is there any left?" Kai Dai knelt on the ground and said, "Yes, all of it was put into the medicinal soup. I watched Granny Ding put it in. There wasn't any left." Yi Xinhuan pushed Lu Shi away and stared at Kai Dai. "What about the paper wrapped in the medicinal powder?" Burn it," Kai Dai said while trembling. She knew that if the master was fine, she probably wouldn't survive. However, Yi Xinhuan saw her trembling and decided that she was lying. She was guilty. "Nonsense. Did you just throw away that paper? Speak. You lowly servant." Yi Xinhuan kicked Kai Dai. Kai Dai spat out a mouthful of blood. Although she did not know what exactly happened, she knew that no matter what, she would not be able to escape death when she saw Fan Sushui and Yi Bingying's miserable state. She looked at Lu Shi for help. When she saw Lu Shi's eyes, her heart sank to the bottom. Lu Shi's eyes were very obvious, asking her to commit suicide to prove her innocence. Kai Dai felt bitter in her heart. If she had known it would be like this, she would have found a catalyst to not go on that mission. It was too late to say anything now. It seemed that good and evil would eventually be repaid. This was her retribution. When Kai Dai thought of this, she smiled bitterly. "And I really burned that piece of paper. Since you don't believe me, then I can only prove my innocence by dying." Saying this, Kai Dai killed herself with the hairpin on her head. Chapter 24-28 Antidote. In fact, when Kai Dai pulled out her hairpin and committed suicide, Old Master Yi could have stopped her, but he did not. Because he felt that there must be a scapegoat for this matter. It was best to let this servant take the blame. Seeing Kai Dai die, Yi Xinhuan was so angry that she kicked Kai Dai's corpse a few more times. She angrily said to Lu Shi, "Sister-in-law, she is your person, so you can't get away with this matter." Lu Shi's eyes were red as she said, "Xinhuan, your words are simply stabbing my heart." Kai Dai had already declared her intention with her death, so that paper must have been burned. Moreover, my Bingying's face was also disfigured. Am I crazy? Even my own daughter was harmed? Fan Sushue stomped her feet and said, "Mother, let's talk about the accounts later. What about my face? I don't want to be disfigured. I don't want to become an ugly monster." Although Yi Bingying wasn't as hysterical as Fan Sushue, she couldn't even stand properly. She leaned on Lu Shi's body and barely managed not to collapse. Yi Xinhuan knew that there was no antidote to the salt-free powder. But she still asked Dr. Deng in desperation, "Since you know about the salt-free powder, can you also detoxify it? As long as you can cure Sushue's face, I'll agree to any condition you propose." Fan Sushue added viciously, "If you can't cure my face, I'll kill you. Not only will I kill you, but I'll also kill all of your family members." Dr. Deng's resentment could be imagined. A doctor's heart was like a parent's. When he saw Fan Sushue and Yi Bingying's beautiful faces being ruined, he planned to carefully study Yun Chujia's words. Perhaps he could really develop an antidote to the salt-free powder. He did not expect Fan Sushue to be so vicious. It would be better if such a person died. Old Master Yi shook his head repeatedly. As the direct daughter of a super aristocratic family, Fan Sukshu's upbringing was really too poor. Her personality was the same as her mother's, but he did not know if she was as lucky as her mother. Old Master Yi naturally would not sit idly by. He could only appease Dr. Deng and say, "Dr. Deng, Sukshu's appearance was also destroyed, so her words are somewhat incoherent. You don't have to take it to heart. It's just that a few days ago, you told me that you had some progress on the antidote for the salt-free powder. I wonder if there has been any progress?" Old Master Yi, researching the antidote is not something that can be done in a day. Moreover, this old man does not have much confidence. After all, the family that has the salt-free powder has not been able to develop the antidote for thousands of years. The Fan family's connections are quite extensive. Why don't we get the Fan family to invite another divine doctor to help young Miss Fan take a look? Perhaps there might be other conclusions, Dr. Deng said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. He had already thought things through. Life and death depended on fate and wealth. If the Fan family really wanted to make things difficult for him, there was nothing he could do. Moreover, the Fan family might not really do anything to him just because of a young miss whose appearance had been ruined. The super aristocratic families still cherished their feathers. Most importantly, he did not think that the Fan family would kill him because they still needed him to develop the antidote for the salt-free powder. Yi Xinhuan was about to say something when Old Master Yi glared at her. He said to Dr. Deng, "Dr. Deng, what you said makes sense. We will immediately send a message to the Fan family and ask them to think of a way. However, since you already have a lead on the antidote for the salt-free powder, then the greatest hope is still on you. If there's anything you need, feel free to ask. As long as the Yi family can do it, we'll do our best." Chapter 24-29 Disappointment. Dr. Deng saw how courteous Old Master Yi was. He could only nod and say, "Old Master Yi is too courteous. This old man is a doctor, so I naturally have to do my best to treat the patient. When this old man returns, I will do my best to develop an antidote for the salt-free powder." Old Master Yi nodded and asked housekeeper Fu to send Dr. Deng back. He also gave him a generous consultation fee. Old Master Yi glanced at the few people in the room and sighed in disappointment. There was no need to mention Yi Xinhuan and her mother. The one who disappointed and pained him the most was Yi Bingying. He originally thought that she was the hope of this generation of the Yi family, but he did not expect her heart to be so vicious. He did not object to competition between his peers. Even if he used some small tricks, he did not care. After all, the fittest survived. Only competition could choose the strongest. However, Yi Bingying was not competing or suppressing. She was taking someone's life. Even if such a person really had a future, she would not consider the interests of the family. She would even sacrifice the interests of the family to pave the way for herself. Old Master Yi's gaze seemed to have substance. The oppression made everyone in the room tremble in fear. Even the most arrogant Fan Sushue was a little afraid to speak. "Xinhuan, what do you plan to tell the Fan family about today's matter?" Old Master Yi stared at Yi Xinhuan and asked. Yi Xinhuan was a little muddled by the question. "Grandfather, what else can I say? Naturally, they'll tell the truth. I still want my husband to help search for the godly doctor. Old Master Yi slammed the table. Extremely muddle-headed. The Fan family is currently in a terrible state. What do you think will happen after you tell these terrible things? If things go wrong, even Mingchuan will be implicated by you. Furthermore, why do you have salt-free powder? Is it used in the past to do some shady and private things? If you tell them, what will Fan Jichuan think? Yi Xinwen's face turned pale. She did not really care about what Old Master Yi said earlier, but the latter sentence, that's right. If this matter was told to Fan Jichuan, he might find an excuse to divorce her. Fan Sushue said unhappily at the side, then what should I do? Don't tell the Fan family that my face is disfigured? There is no antidote for salt-free powder. Do you think it will be useful even if you tell the Fan family? Old Master Yi was extremely displeased with Fan Sushue. If it weren't for this troublemaker, Little Nine and Bing Ying wouldn't have been disfigured. Yi Xinwan was completely flustered. Grandfather, then what should we do? You must save my Sushue. If her face is ruined, her life will be over. Old Master Yi snorted coldly. If Sukshu's face is ruined, her life will be over. Why didn't you think of this when you secretly harmed Little Nine? Yi Xinwan wanted to argue a bit, but now she had to beg Old Master Yi, so she could only endure it. How about this, Xinwan? You secretly inform Mingchuan about this matter and let him think of a way to help you find a famous doctor. I will also send people to keep an eye on Dr. Deng's side. Since he already has a clue about the antidote, perhaps he will really develop it, Old Master Yi said. Yi Xinwan nodded repeatedly. Old Master Yi was right. It would be good to secretly tell Mingchuan about this matter. He handled things steadily and would definitely have a way. Great-grandfather Yi sighed and left with a flick of his sleeve. The atmosphere in the room instantly froze. Yi Xinwan looked at Lu Shi viciously. Sister-in-law, if Su Shue's face can be cured, you'll pretend that this matter never happened. If her face can't be cured, I won't be done with you. Not only you, the Lu family can forget about it. Chapter 24:30 The imp turned into the devil. Yi Bingying couldn't take it anymore. Aunt, how can you blame my mother for this? If it wasn't for Su Shue's suggestion to harm Yun Chujio, would this have happened? If you want to blame someone, blame Su Shue. You bitch, you actually have the nerve to blame me? If it wasn't for you telling me how good-looking that bitch was, would I have proposed to disfigure her? If you hadn't insisted on dragging me to the back garden, would I have been harmed by those spirit bees? You bitch, I'll kill you right now. Fan Sushue pounced on Yi Bingying ferociously. Yi Bingying didn't care about anything else at the moment. She immediately started fighting with Fan Sushue. Yi Xinwan and Lu Shi quickly stopped the fight, but the two of them were petty. In the end, the two of them also started fighting. Although the servants outside heard the movements in the room, no one went in to stop the fight. They were not stupid. If they went in, they would only be blamed. They might even be hurt by accident. Especially the servants in the guest house. They were extremely dissatisfied with Yi Xinwan. They beat them to death without asking any questions. They would only go in to stop the fight unless they were stupid. In the end, it was only after Gu Shi arrived that both sides stopped fighting. Although Ji Shi had wanted to come over long ago, she knew that Old Master Yi was here, so she did not dare to come over. When she heard that Old Master Yi had left, she rushed over. Gu Shi scolded Lu Shi and Yi Xinwan and comforted them a few more words before this farce came to an end temporarily. What everyone did not know was that there was a bystander on the roof of Xiaohua Garden who was watching the show with great interest. Xiaohua Garden and the guest house were not too far away from each other. In addition, it was late at night and the commotion in the guest house was so loud that even though they couldn't hear it clearly, they could still roughly hear it. Yun Chujio snickered as she chewed on the spirit fruit. A dog biting a dog and a mouthful of fur. Did she want to disfigure her little fairy Jio? Did she get her retribution now? She couldn't count on the heavens for this retribution. Only by doing it herself would she have enough food and clothing. Only by doing it herself would she be satisfied. The 6 servants of Xiaohua Garden stood in the courtyard, looking at a certain Jio on the roof in a daze. When they heard the commotion from the guest house, For some reason, they felt that the commotion there had something to do with the devil on the roof. However, this devil had never left Xiaohua Garden. How could it be her? It must be an illusion. Yes, an illusion. The 6 servants recalled Yun Chujio saying that she was the favored child of Tiandao. They thought about it carefully and realized that it was true. The Yi mother and daughter wanted to harm her, but the little demon was completely fine. However, they themselves suffered retribution. Didn't this prove that the little demon was really the favored child of Tiandao? After the 6 servants figured this out, they no longer dared to betray Yun Chujio. They already had a consensus in their hearts, and that was that whoever went against the little demon would be courting death. Yun Chujio saw that there was nothing more to see over there, so she jumped off the roof. This guy glanced at the 6 servants and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Dog against dog, isn't it fun? Tell me, why do I suddenly think of that Windblade rabbit?" The 6 servants could not help but shiver. Before they could say anything, Yun Chujio had already entered the house. The 6 of them looked at each other. Could it really be her? How was this possible? How did she do it? The 6 of them felt a chill on their backs. In their hearts, Yun Chujio had turned from a little devil to a big devil. Now, even if someone were to put a knife to their necks, they would not dare to have any bad thoughts towards Yun Chujio. Chapter 24:31 Sweet jujubes are so sweet. Yun Chujio had a good night's sleep, but many people in the Yi family could not fall asleep. The one who was most anxious was the old Master Yi. After he returned, he repeatedly thought about today's matter and felt that it was really unbelievable. Could it really be that there was something wrong with the piece of paper that wrapped up the salt-free powder? He had to prepare for the worst. If Fan Suksha's face could not be cured completely, what would the Fan family do? Since the root of the matter was Yi Xinwan, the Fan family would not really do anything to the Yi family. However, it was inevitable that Yi Xinwan would fall out of favor. Fortunately, Fan Mingchuan was highly regarded by the head of the Fan family. Otherwise, they would really lose the whole game. Originally, he had planned to let Yi Bingying apply for the Hunyuan sect. Now, it seemed that it was also a failure. Little Nine, who was originally the favorite of Tiandao, also had a bleak future. Could it be that the Yi family was finished just like that? Although the remaining Yi Wenhong was a qualified successor, regardless of whether it was in terms of talent or skill, he was not outstanding enough. It was already not bad if he could hold on to his achievements. Yi Binji's talent was also average and could not be counted on at all. Old Master Yi lay on the bed with his clothes closed. He repeatedly recalled the recent events and suddenly sat up. He felt that something was not right. What exactly was wrong? Little Gio. According to that little girl's character, if she was really disfigured by XN1 and the others, why would she be so quiet? She was fearless. If she was really disfigured, she would definitely drag XN1 and the others down with her. How could she be so quiet in Xiaohua Garden? The more Old Master Yi thought about it, the more suspicious he felt. When he recalled Dr. Deng's words and attitude, he felt that there was something wrong. Old Master Yi endured until dawn with great difficulty. He immediately brought housekeeper Fu to Xiaohua Garden. At this moment, Yun Chujio was still sound asleep. This fellow was in a dream. Cough cough. He had bullied Di Baiming for a long time and was enjoying himself immensely. Therefore, this fellow was awakened by the knocking on the door. He was filled with anger and roared angrily, "What are you knocking on? What are you doing here so early in the morning?" Housekeeper Fu, who was outside the courtyard door, shrunk his neck. This young miss was so angry when she woke up. However, it was probably because her face was disfigured that she was so angry. Old Master Yi took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Little ninth girl, it's me." Yun Chujio was stunned. Old fox? Could it be that he found something suspicious? However, it was also true. So many days had passed. In addition to last night's incident, if he still didn't find out, he wouldn't be worthy of being the head of the Yi family. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio said in a crisp voice, "So it's great-grandfather. Please wait a moment, I haven't woken up yet." The corner of housekeeper Fu's eyes twitched violently outside the door. His attitude had changed so quickly. However, the only one who could say that she had not woken up so confidently was probably the weirdo, Miss Cousin. After Yun Chujio left the house, the 6 servants were already waiting at the door, trembling in fear. Yun Chujio glanced at them and said in a low voice, "Don't worry, I'm here for you. Everything will be fine." The 6 servants were so touched that they almost cried. The sweet date that they gave after the slap was so sweet that it almost touched their hearts. Please sobbed, they were so touched. It turned out that the little devil had a kind side to her. She actually comforted them and even said that she was there for everything. It was simply too heartwarming, wasn't it? After Yun Chujio removed the door latch, she suddenly took a dozen steps back and said faintly, "Great-grandfather, if there's anything you want to say, you should just stand there and say it. Little Gio is really afraid of infecting you." "Sigh, I can't help it. The world is so realistic. Ever since I got sick, my Xiaohua garden has been so cold that I don't even dare to let the wind in. I'm afraid of infecting." Chapter 2432 was the explanation. When old Master Yi heard Yun Chujio's words, his old face turned red. How could he not know that Yun Chujio was complaining about him? Housekeeper Fu quickly explained, "Young miss, old master has been really busy recently. In fact, old master has been sending servants to secretly pay attention to the situation in Xiaohua garden." Yun Chujio stopped when she saw the good news. She said with a faint smile, "Housekeeper Fu, I don't mean anything else. I'm really just afraid of infecting my great-grandfather. After all, if I were to be infected with this disease, my face would be disfigured." Old Master Yi glared at Yun Chujio. "You little girl, don't talk nonsense with me. Dr. Deng has already told me that you were infected with salt-free powder, not some infectious disease." Yun Chujio looked at Housekeeper Fu and said with a smile, "Housekeeper Fu, please help to keep an eye out for me. I think great-grandfather wants to talk to me about something good." The corner of Housekeeper Fu's mouth twitched. "Don't worry, Miss Cousin. There are already guards around Xiaohua garden. There won't be any random people coming near." Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. Now they knew to send guards to guard? Where were they when Yi Xinwan poisoned them? Humans could only rely on themselves. Old Master Yi did not enter the house. He directly sat down on the stone bench in the courtyard. After the 6 servants saluted, they stood far away, afraid that Old Master Yi would see that they were not poisoned. Old Master Yi naturally would not pay attention to these servants. He stared into Yun Chujio's eyes and said, "Little Gio, take off your veil. I'll take a look at your injuries." Yun Chujio knew that even if she did not want to take it off, Old Master Yi would force her to take off her veil, so she generously took off her veil. Housekeeper Fu, who was standing at the side, was still unable to bear with it. This girl loved her looks the most. Her cousin's looks were ruined, and Old Master Yi even asked her to take off the veil. It was estimated that this cousin would cry loudly in a while. However, when Housekeeper Fu saw Yun Chujio take off the veil, his mouth immediately grew wide. Heavens, how could her face be undamaged? Wasn't she poisoned? Wasn't her face disfigured? Old Master Yi was still relatively calm because he already had a guess in his heart. He sighed and said, "Little Gio, don't you have anything to explain?" Yun Chujio took out a large basin from her storage ring. She pointed at the wind-blade rabbit's corpse, which had been corroded until only its bones were left, and said, "Great-grandfather, this is the explanation." Yun Chujio's eyes reddened after she finished speaking, and a look of grief and indignation appeared on her face. Great-grandfather Yes' old face reddened once again after being rebuked. That's right, what did he ask just now? What did he mean by an explanation? Could it be that he wanted to see Yun Chujio disfigured? Little Gio, great-grandfather didn't mean that. I just feel that it's a little strange. What on earth is going on? The little bit of guilt in great-grandfather Yes' heart was instantly magnified countless times by Yun Chujio's ruckus. He felt that he was simply an unpardonable person. Great-grandfather, you should already know what on earth is going on, right? I also don't know who in this Yi residence wants to harm me, to actually put salt-free powder in the medicinal soup. If it wasn't for my cleverness, I'm afraid I would have really become a salt-free woman. What do you think I can do? Don't tell me that I can go to you and shout that someone wants to harm me? Would you believe me? Then I had to pretend that I was poisoned, so that at least the people behind the scenes wouldn't try to harm me again. I did it to protect myself, because I'm stupid and weak. Chapter 2433 was retribution. Whether it was the 6 servants or housekeeper Fu, they all had an expression of fucking shit. Can't you fucking pretend to be dead? Let's not talk about whether you're weak or not. Are you stupid? If you're stupid, there won't be any smart people in this world. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning if you say something that goes against your heart? The corners of Old Master Yes' eyes twitched. He had yet to speak. He heard Yun Chujio continue, "Great-grandfather, who is it that wants to harm me? Hurry up and tell me. Otherwise, I won't be able to eat or sleep well all day long. I'm going to be scared to death." Housekeeper Fu stole a glance at Yun Chujio's rosy face. It seemed that the matter of lying and being struck by lightning was not very accurate. Otherwise, why didn't this person get struck by lightning for lying so many times? Old Master Yi did not hide anything and told her what he knew. Then, he stared at Yun Chujio's expression and asked, "Little Jio, how do you think that Su Shui and Bingying girl were also struck by the salt-free powder?" The corners of Yun Chujio's lips curled up. "Great-grandfather, have you heard of these few words? Good and evil will always be rewarded. The heavenly Tao is good for reincarnation. If you don't believe me, look up, who will the heavens spare? They have suffered retribution. I am the favored child of the Tian Dao. They harmed me, so they will naturally suffer retribution." Old Master Yi was almost suffocated by the rebuke, but he could not say anything. He could only take a deep breath and ask, "You didn't do this?" Yun Chujio's face was full of shock and innocence. "Great-grandfather, I have never left Xiaohua Garden. Besides, how could I possibly poison them with my weak kung fu? Could they have poisoned themselves and then framed me? This is too shameless." The people in the courtyard were speechless. They knew that there was no antidote to the salt-free powder, but Fan Sushue and Yi Bingying still poisoned themselves. Were their brains fried? Old Master Yi felt that he shouldn't have come today. It was purely because he was causing trouble for himself. This little girl's words could choke people to death. "Great-grandfather, I wonder what aunt and great-aunt guessed was the cause of the poisoning?" The reason why Yun Chujio asked this was because she wanted to probe the bottom line. If they did not find the spirit bees, then she could do the same thing again in the future. If they found it, then forget it. They speculated that the paper wrapped in salt-free powder was blown into the backyard by the wind, and then the spirit bees treated the salt-free powder as pollen. After they got it on their claws, it was stained with dew. Then, it was an extremely coincidental coincidence that the dew got onto Bingying and Su Shui's faces. Old Master Yi felt that this was too much of a coincidence. However, other than this explanation, there did not seem to be any other explanation. No matter how capable little Jio was, it was impossible for her to command the spirit bees. Moreover, she did not have the salt-free powder. Oh my God! It's actually such a coincidence? TSK, such a coincidental thing can happen. Looks like they really suffered retribution. Yun Chujio said gloatingly. She was secretly happy in her heart. These people were quite good at imagining things. Although Old Master Yi felt that Yun Chujio's gloating look was a little annoying, he could not say anything. After all, Yi Xinwan and the others had harmed others first. Old Master Yi coughed. Only then did Yun Chujio restrain herself. Otherwise, she would be dancing with joy. "Little Jio girl, how do you plan to end this? If your aunt finds out that you are not disfigured, I'm afraid she will not let this matter rest." Old Master Yi felt that Yun Chujio definitely had a backup plan. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "Isn't there still you? Will you just watch as my aunt strangles me to death?" Old Master Yi couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed and angry. Although he was a little guilty, being ridiculed by a junior over and over again made his old face feel a little embarrassed. Chapter 2434. She was not sick. Just as old Master Yi was about to flare up, he heard Yun Chujio say, "Sai, I also know that you're in trouble. After all, you're the head of the Yi family. There are many things that you can't help. I understand all of them. Actually, I feel that Dr. Deng might be able to develop an antidote for salt-free powder. What if he can't develop it? Then I can only wear a veil and hide far away from him in the future. When that time comes, I'll enter a super sect like the Primordial Chaos sect. No matter how long the Fan family's hands are, they can't do anything to me." Even though old Master Yi's anger had dissipated a little, he still said unhappily, "Is the Primordial Chaos sect something that you can enter just because you want to? Even though your breakthrough speed isn't bad, the 6th level of the spiritual profound is still too weak. Bingying is at the 3rd level of the spiritual void tier, and she can only barely enter the outer sect. Everything depends on man. Who knows, she might accidentally enter. Besides, perhaps Dr. Deng will be able to develop an antidote for the salt-free powder. At that time, won't everyone be happy?" Yun Chujio said indifferently. Old Master Yi felt his head buzzing. He felt that if he continued to tangle with this little girl, he would definitely be angered to the point of vomiting blood. However, he could not find any fault with her. Yun Chujio obviously knew that old Master Yi was being scolded badly. However, she was never a steamed bun who swallowed her anger. Could it be that she was poisoned by someone and was still grateful? She was not sick. Great-grandfather Yi saw that he could not get anything out of her, so he could only say, "You stay in Xiaohua Garden obediently. I will send someone to guard the courtyard to prevent others from coming in, so that you won't be exposed." "Thank you, great-grandfather. Don't worry, a good person will have his blessings. Dr. Deng will definitely develop a salt-free antidote," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Great-grandfather Yi gave a perfunctory reply and left with housekeeper Fu. Not long after old Master Yi left, Dr. Deng arrived. Dr. Deng was about to speak when Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Old miracle doctor, let's go to the spirit peach forest over there and talk. It's quieter there." Dr. Deng understood that he was afraid that the walls would have ears, so he nodded and the two of them arrived at the spirit peach forest. Dr. Deng then said, "Miss Yun, do you know that Miss Fan and Miss Yi were both poisoned by salt-free powder?" Yun Chujio nodded. "I heard from great-grandfather. Old Master Yi also knows that you weren't disfigured?" Dr. Deng asked in surprise. Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips. "Well, it was only a matter of time, so I told him." "Tsk, old miracle doctor, do you think this is karma? They wanted to poison me. I'm fine, but they were poisoned themselves. How interesting." Dr. Deng felt that Yun Chujio's words had a hidden meaning, but he couldn't figure out what it meant. He remembered the meaning and quickly took out a wooden box from his storage ring. "Miss Yun, the spirit herbs in this are too valuable. You should take it back. I'll take the other wooden box." Dr. Deng had also unintentionally opened the wooden box that Yun Chujio had given him last night. He opened one of the boxes and saw that there were a few earth-grade and mystic-grade spirit herbs in it, so he didn't pay too much attention to it. But when he opened the other box, he was stunned. Inside was actually a low-grade heaven-grade purple dragon vine. This was too valuable. That was why Dr. Deng had rushed over so early in the morning. Seeing that Dr. Deng insisted on returning it, Yun Chujio didn't say much. She saw that the wooden box was kept. After all, the formula for the salt-free powder was much more valuable than this spirit herb. Chapter 2435 was not a little white rabbit at all. "Old miracle doctor, I wonder if there are any clues about the antidote to the salt-free powder?" Yun Chujio sat on the stone bench and asked with a smile. Dr. Deng sighed. "How could it be so easy? What you said the other day inspired me. I also think that the purple blood forsythia might really be the antidote to the salt-free powder. But I have tried many times and failed without exception. It seems that the salt-free powder really is unsolvable. Old miracle doctor, that may not be the case. I do have an idea that might be helpful to you." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said mysteriously, "Oh, what idea?" Deng Zhongting suddenly stood up from the stool. He was thinking about the antidote to the salt-free powder during the day and night. He was almost possessed by the devil. Don't get excited yet. If you think that my idea will be helpful to you, you have to agree to one condition of mine. What condition? That is, after you successfully develop the antidote, you have to find a reason to scam the Yi and Fan families for a sum of at least 100 million high-grade spirit stones. At that time, we will split it 50-50. However, don't worry, you just have to do as I say. The Fan and Yi families will not find trouble with you in the future. Dr. Deng's face was full of confusion. He felt that his brain was not enough. What did he mean? She wanted him to scam the Yi family and Fan family for 1 to 100 million high-grade spirit stones? The Yi family and Fan family were not mentally ill. Why would they let him scam so many spirit stones? Moreover, why did she have to give half of it to her? Old miracle doctor, my idea will definitely help you develop the antidote for the salt-free powder. Are you going to do this deal or not? If you can't develop the antidote for the salt-free powder, Yi Xinwan will not let it go. You have to think carefully, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Dr. Deng was so angry that he was twitching. At this moment, he finally understood that the person in front of him was not some weak little white rabbit. This was a fucking fox. And it was the same kind of fox with 9 tails behind it. Dr. Deng really wanted to turn around and leave, but his heart was scratched by Yun Chujio's thoughts. He struggled in his heart for a long time, then he gritted his teeth and said, think about the reason for scamming money. You have to guarantee the safety of me and the medicine hall. Yun Chujio snapped her fingers. Deal. Old miracle doctor, do you feel that you have been deceived by me? I was forced by the situation. You have seen it yourself. Even my biological aunt and my biological aunt wanted to ruin my appearance. Can I not be careful? Please forgive me if I have offended you in any way. Yun Chujio was very shrewd. Seeing that Dr. Deng was a little angry, she quickly comforted him. Dr. Deng was now on the boat of thieves. Even if he was a little dissatisfied, he could only accept it. Now can you tell me what you think? Dr. Deng said unhappily. Although most spirit herbs are different from the secular world's herbs that need to be processed before they can be used as medicine, there are very few that need to be processed before they can be used. Could the purple blood forsythia be one of them? Dr. Deng was stunned for a moment before he slapped his thigh. What you said makes sense. Why didn't I think of that? I'll go back and give it a try. When Dr. Deng turned around and was about to leave, Yun Chujio said softly, Old miracle doctor, the wooden box that I gave you was not given to you casually. Dr. Deng turned around and asked again, but Yun Chujio only smiled and did not say anything. Dr. Deng was so angry that he directly flung his sleeves and left. Yun Chujio looked at Dr. Deng's back and couldn't help but laugh. It was more interesting to leave some suspense. If she told him everything, he wouldn't have any sense of accomplishment. Yun Chujio jumped onto the hammock. Just as she was about to take out her notebook to read for a while, she felt the voice transmission talisman in her storage ring tremble. Chapter 2436 Her Gigolo had arrived. Yun Chujio used her divine sense to take a look. It was Di Baiming's voice transmission talisman. Little Gio, you'll be able to reach Yi City tonight. Tell me the location of Xiaohua Garden and I'll meet you there. Di Baiming's voice transmission talisman was as simple and clear as ever. Yun Chujio almost fell off the hammock. Why did this gigolo come so suddenly? Was he planning to give her a surprise? Yun Chujio described the location of Xiaohua Garden to Di Baiming. She was not worried about Di Baiming's safety. He could smash the Yi residence's door, so he was naturally not afraid of the guards of the Yi residence finding out. Yun Chujio put down the voice transmission talisman and became a little distracted. This guy cursed her in her heart. The more she lived, the more useless she became. She was not so nervous in the past. Why was she nervous now? This guy remembered the dream he had last night, and his face turned red. Then this guy remembered the strange grass in his dantian. Guai Chao, who hadn't been scolded for a long time, was scolded again. Guai Chao knew that every time he was scolded, it was that big demon coming. He felt that his life was really tough. It wasn't easy for him to find a heavenly thunder spirit route, but he didn't expect to meet a pervert. Not only that, she was even in the eyes of that big demon. There was no way for him to survive. The 6 servants of Xiaohua Garden felt that the little demon in their eyes was somewhat abnormal. Well, this guy had never been normal before. But today, it looked even more abnormal. It sat in the courtyard and giggled foolishly for no reason. Sometimes, it would even cover its face with a look of embarrassment. Could it be that Dr. Deng had drugged her? Yun Chujio wished that the sky would turn dark soon. It was not easy for her to stay up until night. She took out 6 pills and handed them to the servants. Take these pills. They are very nutritious. The 6 servants were so angry that they almost fainted. They had never heard that sleeping pills could be very nutritious. However, they did not dare to disobey her. They swallowed the pills in their hands one after another and returned to the servants' room with difficulty. Yun Chujio checked them and saw that they had really fainted. Only then did she return to her bedroom and wait for Di Baiming happily. However, it was already midnight and Di Baiming still did not come. Yun Chujio frowned and was about to take out the voice transmission talisman to send a message to Di Baiming when the door was pushed open and Di Baiming walked in. Yun Chujio immediately threw herself into Di Baiming's arms and clung onto Di Baiming like a koala. She said angrily, "Didn't you say that you would come at 11 a.m.? Why did you come so late?" Di Baiming grunted and said in a low voice, "I was delayed on the way." Yun Chujio was filled with the joy of meeting Di Baiming. She did not notice Di Baiming's grunt. She pouted and said, "Prince Charming, why did you come to see me all of a sudden this time? Do you want me to be heartbroken and unable to extricate myself?" Di Baiming did not say anything because he used his actions to express how much he missed her. After the passionate kiss, Yun Chujio pounded on Di Baiming's chest. She said coquettishly, "Itchy. You pervert. When I first saw you, I knew that you were a coquettish person. On the surface, you looked very stoic and cold, but in reality, you are a big pervert." Hiss! Di Baiming could not help but moan. Only then did Yun Chujio realize that something was wrong. With the help of the moonlight, she saw that there were red blood stains on Di Baiming's white clothes. "You're injured? You idiot! Why didn't you tell me you were injured?" Yun Chujio felt both sorry and guilty. If she knew that he was injured, she would not have tormented him so much. Chapter 2437. She felt that she was very shameless. Di Baiming touched her hair. "It's all right, it's just a small injury." Yun Chujio glared at him. "Stop talking nonsense, lie on the bed for me." Di Baiming's ears turned red. He mumbled, "Little Jiao, although my body is fine, but Guai Chao." Seeing this, Yun Chujio directly pushed Di Baiming onto the bed and then started to undress him. Di Baiming was conflicted. On one hand, he felt that it was not a good time. After all, Yun Chujio had not come to Kueishui yet. On the other hand, he was looking forward to it. Even if they could not really have sex, cough cough. It was good to have a good time. When Di Baiming's mind was filled with thoughts, he heard Yun Chujio scolding him with a sobbing voice. "Are you a pig? Such a big wound. Don't you know how to apply medicine to bandage it?" After Yun Chujio removed Di Baiming's clothes, she saw that his chest was filled with wounds of all sizes. One of them was more than 3 inches long and was oozing blood. Only then did Di Baiming realize that his thoughts were wrong. He couldn't help but say awkwardly, "It's nothing. I'm already used to it. This is considered light." When Yun Chujio heard Di Baiming's words, she immediately cried even harder. Used to it? This was considered light? One could imagine how dangerous Di Baiming was usually. Only then did Di Baiming realize that he had let the cat out of the bag. He did not know how to comfort people. He just kept saying, "It's okay. My constitution is special. I will recover very quickly. Don't worry." Yun Chujio glared at him. She took out a pill to stop the bleeding and fed him 2 pills. She sprinkled them on the wound and helped him bandage it. This guy deliberately tied a bow on the white cloth. The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched, but he didn't say anything. Anyway, he was still wearing clothes outside, so no one could see him. "Prince Charming, I see that your wounds are not caused by spiritual attacks. It seems that there are claws of demonic beasts. Your enemies are not only humans but also demonic beasts? Yun Chujio asked in confusion. Little Jio, if the enemy I'm facing is not too strong, how could I bear to let you stay here alone? If I bring you with me, I really can't protect your safety. Di Baiming said seriously. Although he knew that Yun Chujio was an independent girl, he was afraid that she would hold a grudge against him. Yun Chujio smiled. Prince Charming, I understand. Isn't there a saying? If the two of us were in love for a long time, we wouldn't be together day and night. The reason why we are separated now is to be together for a better and longer time. Besides, distance makes the heart grow fonder. The feeling of us having an affair is quite exciting. When Di Baiming heard the first few sentences, his face was full of relief. However, when he heard the last few sentences, the relief on his face turned into confusion. A certain Jio was still beaming with joy as she said, Prince Charming, do you also feel that it's quite exciting? Every time you come, you are always sneaking around. Don't you look like the poor scholar who secretly meets the young ladies of the big families in the storybook? Di Baiming looked at her speechlessly. Have you not been cultivating properly recently? Have you been sneaking around reading the storybook again? A certain Jio immediately wished she could take back everything she had said just now. She stammered, I've been trapped in Xiaohua Garden for the past few days and watched it a few times. I promise, it's really just a few times. I just broke through in the previous stage, so I don't dare to cultivate too fast. The more she spoke, the quieter her voice became. The reason was naturally because she felt guilty, especially when she caught a glimpse of the bow on Di Baiming's chest. She felt that slacking off was an unpardonable and shameless act. Chapter 2438. Conscience hurts a little. Di Baiming did not reprimand her. Instead, he said, it's okay to take a look occasionally. It's right to combine work and rest. Yun Chujio's eyes were wide open. Although Di Baiming did not object to her reading the script, he did not encourage her to do so. This time he actually said that. Could it be that he had lost too much blood and was confused? Di Baiming could not help but laugh when he saw Yun Chujio's expression. He stroked her hair and said, I'm afraid that your cultivation is too hard. It's good to relax once in a while. Yun Chujio felt a little pain in her conscience. Although she was still working hard now, this fellow had never been a good student. Moreover, although her physique was a little unlucky, she had to admit that her cultivation was much easier than others. She only needed to condense the thunder spiritual force that the three foodies spat out. A certain Jio, who was feeling guilty, took the initiative to change the topic. Oh right, Prince Charming, where is the little madman? Did he come back with you? No, he stayed there to keep an eye on the other party's movements. Let him train for a period of time and become less useless. Then, let him come back to protect you. Hee, Prince Charming, I didn't dare to tell you in the voice transmission talisman. I'm rich. Yun Chujio thought of the matter of the Fan family's mine and said proudly to Di Baiming. Di Baiming couldn't help but laugh. What are you rich in? Last time, after I left the heavenly pit of the divine axe, I didn't expect to be in the Fan family's territory. Yun Chujio told Di Baiming everything that happened, then she took out a small piece of spirit stone for Di Baiming to see. Although Di Baiming felt that Yun Chujio's action was a bit risky, but he felt that she had considered it carefully, so he didn't scold Yun Chujio and took the spirit stone to have a look. The quality of this spirit stone mine is not bad. After processing, it should be a high-grade spirit stone. However, you are not short of money anyway. Try not to let everyone process it so that you don't give yourself away, Di Baiming instructed. I know about this, but you don't even know about it. I feel that I have done it secretly. I didn't expect that old man Huang from Tianluo City would actually suspect me. However, I beat around the bush and made him confused. Yun Chujio told him about Mayor Huang again, then said, Prince Charming, I think that old man Huang is not simple. How could an ordinary city lord make the two principals of Xingtian Academy and Hua Stone Academy listen to him? Di Baiming nodded. Although I haven't found any malice toward you for the time being, It's better for you to stay away from him. It's fine. If he wants to harm me, I still have the help of the heavenly Tao cliff. It's just a pity that the heavenly Tao cliff can only be effective within a radius of 5,000 miles. Otherwise, I would really have a big killing weapon. Yun Chujio thought of the big kitchen knife when she mentioned the big killing weapon. She told Di Baiming about the strangeness of the big kitchen knife. Di Baiming's eyes lit up. Little Jio, I think that the big kitchen knife is very likely the Heaven Punisher divine axe that you've been looking for. It can cut through the stone egg made of shell fragments and even kill Shuemo other than the Heaven Punisher. There's no other spirit weapon that can do it. Moreover, those shell fragments that you said were lost were probably also devoured by the kitchen knife. Recalling the abnormality of the kitchen knife in the ancient sword tomb, we can basically determine that it should be the Heaven Punisher. It's just that for some unknown reason, it ended up in the Linghua sect's kitchen. Chapter 2439. This is an illness. It needs to be treated. Di Baiming could not help but sigh. Although little Jio was not tolerated by the Tian Dao, her luck was surprisingly good at times. She conveniently took a large kitchen knife with a gap in it in the kitchen, and it was actually a divine weapon. This luck was really out of this world. Yun Chujio excitedly took out the large kitchen knife and looked at it more than 10 times, but she could not see the awesomeness of a divine weapon. She couldn't help but feel a little discouraged. Prince Charming, although what you said makes sense, no matter how I look at it, the big kitchen knife doesn't look like the Heaven Punisher divine axe. Maybe it really went through self-destruction, and the weapon spirit hasn't fully awakened yet. When the weapon spirit fully awakens, it will naturally return to its original appearance of the Heaven Punisher divine axe, Di Baiming guessed. All right. To be honest, the kitchen knife has followed me for so many years. It has helped me cut firewood, chopped meat, and even extorted people for me. Even if it's not a divine weapon, I will always keep it. It's just like my partner, Yun Chujio said after putting away the kitchen knife. What Yun Chujio didn't know was that the kitchen knife that was put into her storage ring flashed with a red light, but it soon disappeared. When Di Baiming heard what Yun Chujio said, he couldn't help but laugh. If the large kitchen knife was really the Heaven Punisher's divine axe, he probably wouldn't want to wake up again when he thought about how he used it like a kitchen knife before because it was too embarrassing for the divine weapon. Di Baiming asked again why Yun Chujio hadn't returned to the Heaven Punisher Academy. Yun Chujio told him about how Yi Xinwan had given her the salt-free powder. Di Baiming's face immediately darkened. Where is the guest house? I will go and kill them. And your uncle's family? I will help you kill them. I don't want you to be upset. Yun Chujio was speechless as she held down Di Baiming, who was about to get up. Although this kind of domineering CEO style was quite seductive, wanting to kill someone at the slightest disagreement was an illness that needed to be treated. Prince Charming, I can handle it. You don't have to help me. I'm not being unreasonable. If I want to kill them, although it is not easy, I can still do it. I am not afraid of them, but the Fan family behind them. The Fan family is deeply rooted. If we really kill them, there will be too much trouble in the future. Therefore, let's not touch them for the time being. When we can really look down on the entire immortal essence continent, we will deal with them. Moreover, you don't know my character. I won't be at a disadvantage. If they punch me, I will chop off their hands. If they kick me, I will chop off their legs. Di Baiming snorted coldly. You're quite impressive. Aren't you still trapped in Xiaohua Garden? Forget it, since you have plans, well, do as you say. If you can't handle it yourself, it'll help you take care of them. Although the Fan family is a bit troublesome, if we find the right opportunity, we might be able to completely eradicate the Fan family. Yun Chujio nodded. The Fan family hasn't crossed my bottom line yet. Moreover, I've already collected half of the spirit stone mine in advance as compensation. It's not a big deal to let them run around for a few days. Oh right, little Jio, you said that you met a spirit master Yen when you left the Fan family's mine? Di Baiming suddenly asked. Yes, he's Ziheng's grandfather. Is there a problem? Yun Chujio asked nervously. Could it be that she had done something wrong? Di Baiming smiled. I believe in your judgment. If you think it's harmless, there's naturally no problem. My seal hasn't been completely broken yet, but I have a vague feeling that it'll need a spirit master in the future. You help me find 2 at once. By then, I won't have to look around for people anymore. Chapter 2440 was taught well by me. A certain Geo heard D. Biming's words and immediately became extremely smug. That's right, I never do meaningless things. I'm called a prophet. D. Biming looked at Yun Chujio's smug look and only curled his lips, not saying a word. Yun Chujio looked at the bow tie on D. Biming's chest and could not help but smile. This dumb slut would not be so obedient in the past. It was better that I taught her well. The more he thought about it, the more he felt a sense of accomplishment. He used D. Biming's arm as a pillow and lay down on his side with a smile. Prince Charming, since there's a little lunatic watching over there, you should stay for a few more days this time. Anyway, few people come to my Xiaohua garden. Those servants have been taken care of by me, so I won't say anything. And Feng's spiritual power is too low. If there's an emergency, he might not be able to handle it. Moreover, I've been going back and forth for many days. Yun Chujio pouted, and her small face instantly scrunched up. She was obviously very disappointed. However, it's not a big deal to stay for 1 more day. I'll leave in the morning the day after tomorrow. After saying that, D. Biming turned around and looked at Yun Chujio, his eyes full of ridicule. Only then did Yun Chujio react. It turned out that D. Biming had said those words on purpose. She was so angry that she bit D. Biming's shoulder. D. Biming grimaced in pain, but his heart was filled with sweetness. If he could be together with little Gio, he would be happy even if he was bitten by her every day. The 2 of them seemed to have endless words to say. In fact, it was a certain Gio who kept boasting. A certain Gio would occasionally chime in. The 2 of them did not sleep for a night. Of course, a certain Gio went out halfway and gave each of the 6 servants a sleeping pill. In this way, the 6 servants would be lucky if they could wake up on the 3rd morning, let alone the next morning. A certain Gio said with conviction, Aya, you guys have been on tenterhooks these past few days. You must not have rested well. This is a good opportunity to have a good sleep. If those servants heard what Yun Chujio said, they would probably faint from anger without her having to feed them medicine. The next morning, Yun Chujio felt a little sleepy after her excitement. She kept yawning. D. Biming said with heartache, you sleep for a while. I'll keep an eye on the outside. If anyone comes, I'll call you. Yun Chujio was really sleepy, so she lay on the bed and fell asleep. D. Biming was meditating in the outer room while keeping an eye on the situation outside. After about 2 hours, they heard a dispute outside. Miss Fan, we are guarding Xiaohua Garden under the orders of the old master. Please forgive us. Get lost. All of you get lost. Or I will kill you. A sharp female voice shouted. D. Biming frowned slightly. He took out an isolation disc from his storage ring and placed it in the bedroom before continuing to meditate. The noise outside grew louder and louder. The courtyard door was violently pushed open by someone. Someone shouted sharply, Yun Chujio, you little bitch, get out here. It's all your fault, otherwise, how would I be disfigured? The person who came was Fan Sushua. Ever since she found out that she had been poisoned by the salt-free powder and cried a few times, she had vented her anger on Yi Bingying and Yun Chujio. However, Yi Bingying had the protection of the Lu Shi, so she couldn't do anything at the moment, so she came to Yun Chujio to vent her anger. The guards of the Yi family didn't dare to attack Fan Sushua, and if they really did, they wouldn't be able to defeat the guards brought by Fan Sushua. Therefore, they let Fan Sushua break into Xiaohua Garden. Chapter 2441. Chongguan was furious for the pretty boy. A little commander of the Yi family's guards hurriedly sent a message to Old Master Yi when he saw the situation, but Old Master Yi just had to go out on an errand. Old Master Yi could only order that little commander to stop Fan Sushua from hurting Yun Chujio. If he could not stop her, he had to try his best to stall for time. He had to rush back as soon as possible. That little commander was about to cry. Stop? Stall for time? How could he stop her? How could he stall for time? How could he really dare to touch that Miss Fan? Moreover, that Miss Fan did not come alone this time. Not only did she bring a maid, but she also brought a dozen guards with her. The spirit energy of the guards of the Fan family was much higher than theirs. How could they stop her? The little commander did not dare to disobey. He chased after her into Xiaohua Garden and said in fear and trepidation, "Miss Fan, old master will be back soon. You should go back to the guest house." Fan Sushue did not see Yun Chujio. She was angry and kicked the little commander. The little commander did not dare to dodge and was kicked. He wanted to persuade her again, but the Fan family guards looked at him threateningly. He could only keep quiet. He hoped that old Master Yi would come back quickly. Otherwise, looking at the situation, his cousin would not be able to keep her life. Fan Sushue saw that Yun Chujio had not come out yet after such a big commotion. She shouted sharply, "Yun Chujio, get out here, or I will have someone burn down this courtyard." In the room, Di Baiming suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with a cold light. He got up and was about to leave when Yun Chujio came out from the bedroom, yawning. Yun Chujio was a cultivator. In fact, she had already woken up. She just laid on the bed for a while longer. Yun Chujio gave Di Baiming a look, indicating that she should deal with it herself. Di Baiming snorted coldly and sat down again. Yun Chujio put on her veil and pushed the door open. She leaned against the door and glanced at the chaotic situation in the courtyard before her gaze landed on Fan Sushue. Fan Sushue also wore a veil on her face. Her right hand was wrapped in a thick white cloth while her left hand was fine. When the crowd saw someone coming out of the house, they looked at the young lady leaning against the door. The young girl's body was plated with a layer of gold. Although she was just leaning lazily against the door, there was an indescribable beauty to her. Although they could not see her appearance, they felt that she was just like this. For a moment, the courtyard fell into a strange silence. Even Fan Sushue was stunned. After Fan Sushue reacted, she could not help but curse sharply, "Little bitch! You're finally willing to come out. If it wasn't for you, would I have been disfigured? Get your ass over here. Cousin Sushue, do you have a bad memory? My face is like this, but it was your good idea. As for your face being disfigured, that's karma. What does it have to do with me? Besides, I don't know how to get out. Why don't you give me a demonstration?" Normally, Yun Chujio wasn't willing to have a face-to-face fight with Fan Sushue, but it wasn't easy for her to reunite with the gigolo for 2 days, and this Fan Sushue shamelessly came to disturb her, so how could a certain Gio let it go? Others would be angry at the crown for the beauty. A certain Gio would be angry at the crown for the gigolo. Fan Sushue thought that Yun Chujio would be submissive and beg for mercy. She did not expect to be questioned and ridiculed. She immediately said to the maids behind her, "Tie this bastard up and cut off her tongue for me." The 2 maids behind Fan Sushue looked at Yun Chujio with disdain. They took a few steps forward and were about to catch Yun Chujio. At this moment, the bodies of the 2 handmaidens flew out without warning and crashed heavily onto the wall of the courtyard. They immediately vomited blood and fainted. Chapter 2442 was sent flying. Everyone in the courtyard was stunned. They clearly saw that Yun Chujio did not move at all. Furthermore, the 2 handmaidens were at least 6 to 7 feet away from Yun Chujio. How did they fly out? Yun Chujio was also stunned. Then, she immediately understood that it was probably Di Baiming's help. This fellow's heart was filled with evil thoughts. He hugged his shoulders and snorted coldly, "Did you see that? I am the favored child of Tiandao. You want to hit me? You are going against Tiandao." Those 2 just suffered retribution. Although Fan Sushue was a little shocked, she felt that Yun Chujio must have done something in the dark. Hence, she turned around and pointed at the 2 guards, "Capture her for me." The 2 guards shared the same thoughts as Fan Sushue. They also felt that Yun Chujio's sneak attack was successful because the maid was not on guard. The 2 guards walked toward Yun Chujio with guarded expressions. Yun Chujio said with disdain, "You really don't turn back until you hit the wall." Come on, I don't even hide. Let's see if you can get close to me. Humans have to know their own limits. You want to fight with Tiandao? You really overestimate yourself. The two guards walked a few steps and did not find anything unusual. The two of them were even more certain that it was Yun Chujia's little trick, so their hearts relaxed a little. At this moment, the two of them felt a huge force coming at them, and their bodies could not help but fly out. Their bodies also crashed into the wall of the courtyard, and a part of the wall collapsed. The two of them immediately vomited blood and passed out. The people in the courtyard could not help but take a few steps back. If the two maids were a coincidence, then the two guards just now were all staring at them. Yun Chujio did not even move her hand. It was impossible that she did it. Could it really be the punishment of Tiandao? Fan Sushue was shocked, angry, and a little scared. It was impossible. How could that little bitch really be Tiandao's favorite? A bunch of trash. This is all a little trick of that little bitch. All of you attack together. Fan Sushue said to the guards of the Fan family behind her angrily. Although the guards of the Fan family did not want to go forward, they did not dare to disobey and could only reluctantly move forward. Fan Sushue saw that the guards were moving slowly and scolded angrily, "If you don't hurry up, I will kill all of you." Yun Chujio curled the corner of her mouth. "Tite, I really sympathize with you guards. How could you have such a master? Why don't you acknowledge me as your master? I will definitely not let you do stupid things that will send you to your death." Fan Sushue glared at Yun Chujio viciously. "Little bitch, don't be so smug." Later, not only will I cut off your tongue, I will also reward you to these servants so that they... Before Fan Sushue could finish her words, her entire body flew out. Following that, the guards of the Fan family also flew out one by one. Coincidentally, they all landed on Fan Suksha's body. The guards of the Fan family struggled to get up, only to see that Fan Sushue had long fainted. Moreover, whether it was her arm, leg, or even her ribs, they were all broken. The guards of the Fan family spat out blood as they created a soft cushion, carrying Fan Sushue and running away. They now completely believed that they had really suffered retribution. Because Yun Chujio was only a little girl at the 6th level of the Ling Xian realm. Even if she had some small tricks, it was impossible for her to send them flying at the same time. Chapter 2443 was all about the fence-sitters. The guards of the Yi family were all dumbfounded by what they saw. Oh God, it seemed that this young cousin was indeed the favorite of Tiandao. This was too terrifying. Yun Chujio glanced at the guards of the Yi family and said indifferently, "Don't you have anything to say to me? Did my great-grandfather send you to my courtyard to watch a show?" The guards of the Yi family were stunned at first, then they knelt on the ground with a plop. The young commander said in fear, "Miss Cousin, this subordinate knows his mistake. But this subordinate really doesn't dare to stop Miss Fan too much. Moreover, we can't beat those guards of the Fan family." Yun Chujio snorted coldly, "What if the person living in this courtyard is my great-grandfather? Because you don't dare to stop him, and because you can't beat the guards of the Fan family, do you want to give way?" Cold sweat broke out on the foreheads of the little commander and those guards. They had no way to answer. If the person in the courtyard was old Master Yi, they would fight to the death to stop Fan Sushue. After all, old Master Yi was their master. Although this young Miss Cousin could be considered a master, there were naturally close and distant relatives. Moreover, in their subconscious, they also felt that Fan Sushue was much more important than Yun Chujio. Even old master didn't dare to offend the Fan family, let alone them. However, could these words be said? Naturally, they could not be said, so the guards of the Yi family just knelt on the ground and did not say a word. Yun Chujio glanced at them. For some reason, those guards felt their hearts tremble, and they were so guilty that they did not dare to raise their heads. Yun Chujio chuckled, and then her tone became cold. "Even if you don't say it, I know what you are thinking. Aren't you afraid of the Fan family behind Fan Sushue? However, you're carrying out the Yi family's livelihood. You're the Yi family's guards. Protecting Xiaohua Garden was my great-grandfather's order. Your mission is to carry out the orders to the letter. As for the disputes behind it, what does it have to do with you? You think that you've made the right choice. You've violated the greatest taboo of being a guard, so is this betraying your master? Do you think that there's any use for guards like you to stay in the Yi family? Those guards were covered in cold sweat. They knew that if Yun Chujio told old Master Yi what she said, there was an 80 to 90% chance that they would not be able to keep their jobs. Just as they were panicking and feeling uneasy, Yun Chujio continued to say indifferently, "I'm not a ruthless person either. I'll give you another chance. In a while, the Fan family will definitely come again. If you can't stop them from leaving Xiaohua Garden, you won't have any value left in the Yi family." After saying that, Yun Chujio didn't care about the reaction of the Yi family's guards. She directly opened the door and entered the house. The guards looked at each other and finally looked at the young commander. "Boss, what should we do?" The young commander gritted his teeth. "The old master should be back soon. We just need to hold on for a little longer. Besides, Miss Fan's injuries are so serious. Aunt will probably treat her first. She might not come to seek revenge." The rest of the people thought that what he said made sense, so the guards simply made a hole in the wall and continued to stand guard outside Xiaohua Garden. Yun Chujio saw the behavior of the guards through the crack in the door and could not help but twitch her lips. If it were not for the fact that her 10 guards were arranged to stay in the outer residence, they would not have been needed at all. They were all fence-sitters who acted according to the wind. Chapter 2444. Yun Chujio turned around, threw herself into Di Baiming's arms and said, "Prince Charming, we are a perfect match. I was showing off outside, and you were supporting me in the house. It felt so good." Di Baiming's gloomy face softened after hearing Yun Chujio's words. "If you didn't say not to touch the Fan family, I would have killed those useless people just now. You're not afraid of settling scores. Besides, I think that Fan Suksha's bones are more than half broken. I'm afraid that she won't be able to get out of bed for another half a year." Yun Chujio gloated. Di Baiming glanced at her. "Aren't you afraid that your aunt will look for you to settle scores?" "Settle scores? They've suffered retribution. Is it my fault?" Yun Chujio said fearlessly. "She didn't even make a move. Those people could all testify. Besides, if it really didn't work out, she could still use the antidote of the salt-free powder to threaten them. If it weren't for the Fan family behind them, she could have played them 10,000 times over. Do you think your aunt will send someone to settle the score with you? Shouldn't she treat her daughter first?" Di Baiming asked in confusion. "Although Fan Sushua looks quite miserable, it's only superficial wounds and there's no danger to her life. Most importantly, that aunt of mine is now blaming everything on me. I'm afraid she can't help it. If she doesn't come, it's her advantage. If she comes, I'll let her taste the taste of retribution. Male God, with you here, my heart is much more stable. Even if the sky collapses, I'm not afraid," Yun Chujio said with starry eyes. Di Baiming instantly felt joy and satisfaction overflowing in his heart. He felt that nothing could make him feel so satisfied and proud like Yun Chujio's words. The two of them looked at each other affectionately and could not help but kiss each other again. After a while, a certain Jiao was nestled in Di Baiming's arms. She raised her head and looked at Di Baiming affectionately. Di Baiming's heart was thumping violently. Was little Jiao going to confess to him again? Di Baiming felt a little thirsty and asked in a hoarse voice, "Little Jiao, do you have something to say to me?" Yun Chujio nodded and said softly, "Should we eat breakfast? I'm hungry." Di Baiming. The pink bubble in a certain someone's mind suddenly burst into bubbles and said with a stiff face, "Then let's eat breakfast." The two of them had just eaten breakfast when the outside of the courtyard became noisy again. Yun Chujio showed a proud expression. "Prince Charming, how is it? I told you that my aunt would come to settle the score with me, right? TSK, it's already good enough that I didn't disfigure her last time. This time, she actually delivered herself to my doorstep. If I don't torture her, it'll be letting down my conscience." Di Baiming raised his eyebrows indifferently. In his eyes, these scum were really too weak. If it wasn't for the Fan family's deep foundation, it wouldn't be a big problem for him to destroy the Fan family even if he wanted to. However, when he saw how eager Yun Chujio was to give it a try, he felt that it would be good to cooperate with her acting and let her show off. When he thought of the way Yun Chujio blinked her starry eyes and worshipped him, he felt an itch in his heart. Hence, he lowered his head and kissed the smug A Certain Geo once again. A Certain Geo was kissed until the sky and earth turned dark again. When Di Biming released her, he could hear the sounds of fighting coming from outside the courtyard. Occasionally, there were also the screams of the Yi family's guards. A Certain Geo looked at the satisfied Certain Lord and said faintly, "Sigh, as expected, beauty ruins things." Chapter 2445. She was beautiful, and she was perverted. Di Biming's ears were sharp. A Certain Geo glanced at him without saying a word. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Bah! She had kissed him, touched him, and touched him. Why was she pretending to be innocent? If she didn't know better, she would have thought that she had forcefully kissed him. Sigh, all right. It seemed that the word beautiful should be separated. Her gigolo was beautiful and she was perverted. Gaga. Just as Yun Chujio was indulging in her wild thoughts, she heard the sounds of fighting outside become even more intense. Her eyes deepened. Prince Charming, don't make my aunt too serious later. If she is not well for a while, I'm afraid she will stay in the Yi family and won't leave. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she pushed the door open and walked out. This guy stood at the door and shouted clearly, "Stop! Let my aunt and the others come in." When the guards of the Yi family heard Yun Chujio's words, they felt as if they had heard the sound of nature. They had no strength to resist for a long time. Yi Xinwan brought the guards of the Fan family into the courtyard with an imposing manner. When she saw Yun Chujio, who was casually leaning against the door, the hatred in her eyes was as if it was poisoned. "Little bitch, did you beat Su Shui up like that? Get over here." "Aunt, you can't just say that. I didn't touch a single finger of cousin Su Shui. If you don't believe me, you can ask the maids and guards. I didn't move a single inch from the beginning to the end," Yun Chujio said slowly. "Nonsense. You little bitch, don't think that you can fool me just because you know some tricks. Even if you didn't do it, it was you who did it. Get your ass over here, or else I'll tear down your Xiaohua garden." Although Yi Xinwen's words were vicious, she was still a little worried about the so-called retribution, so she planned to force Yun Chujio to surrender herself. "Aunt, don't blame me for not reminding you. Every blade of grass and tree here used to belong to my mother, and now they're all mine. If anyone dares to touch them, I'll make them suffer retribution." Yun Chujio still looked casual, but her tone was cold. Some people couldn't help but shiver. "Humph! You're playing tricks. Smash it. Destroy this broken courtyard." Yi Xinwan ordered the guards of the Fan family behind her. The guards of the Yi family immediately looked at Yun Chujio. Should they stop her or not? They saw Yun Chujio's indifferent expression and didn't know what she meant. They thought about it and thought that she was a powerful person. It was better to stop her. Therefore, the Yi family guards stopped the Fan family guards one after another. Of course, they did not dare to be too forceful and only tried to persuade them nicely. Everyone calmed down. And is just saying these words out of anger. How can she really smash the courtyard? That's right. We are all one family. Don't be rash, don't be rash. Aunt and Miss have some misunderstanding. In a while, our old master will come back. When that time comes, a piece of cloud will disperse. The guards of the Fan family would not listen to them. They pushed away the guards of the Yi family rudely. Some of them simply attacked. The guards of the Yi family did not dare to fight back. They were in a sorry state. Yun Chujio snorted coldly. "Are you guys still considered men? You are bullied to such an extent and you don't even dare to fight back? What are you trying to persuade me for? Beat them up. If there's anything, I'll take responsibility." The guards of the Yi family had been holding back their anger for a long time. Just now outside the courtyard, they were only defending and did not dare to attack. Hence, they were all wounded. Now that they heard Yunchujo say this, damn it. Since there was someone backing them up, even if they could not beat them up, it was still better than being bullied like this. Hence, the attitude of the guards of the Yi family suddenly hardened, and the two sides formed a standoff. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.